right? That before redemption could come, there had to be an exile. And this teaches us a lot about how we can have an outlook on our own life, how we can have an outlook on the things that are going on with us. A lot of times with us, we see in our life situations that maybe we causing us to feel pain, suffer. As I mentioned before, right? Pain. Arush says that pain is inevitable, but we can definitely avoid suffering. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Live with the Times. I'm Maynard Breslow. I'm grateful to be here, grateful for all of you. Today we are going to be starting the first aliyah of the last parsha in the book of Bereshit, Vayechi. And we're going to learn, we'll see throughout the whole parsha, right? But starting here in this aliyah here today, just the importance of our outlook, the way that we look at situations, the way that we think about situations, the way that we speak about situations, and the impact that it has on the outcome. Not only the outcome, but the process in between. And we'll get into that. Before we get into that, I want to, thank you for being here. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share these shiurim. And so Vayechi, right, where in here is it talking about the outlook and what is going on? In a couple of places here in this aliyah, right? First and foremost, it says that that Yaakov lived for 147 years. 47 years, right? 147 years. We see that he lived for less than what had been the life expectancy of the other patriarchs, would have been 180 years. And so his life was shortened. And one of those reasons being was that when he came to Paro, right, he kind of just expressed some displeasure with his life, that he had lived a hard life, a harsh life. Even Paro was like, oh, wow, this guy looks a little bit old over here, right? And so this knocked off part of his life. But it says that 47 starts off, right? It says that his life was 47 in 100 years. And the sages say that 47 years were the best years of his life, right? They corresponded to the first 6 years of his life that were carefree. Before the differences between him and Esau started showing up. The time that he spent with Rachel Imenu, his wife, and the 17 years that he had spent with Yosef before his being sold, and the 17 years that he had here at the end of his life in Mitzrayim. The question as well is, how is it possible that the final years of his life there in Mitzrayim were the best years? I mean, I can understand being reunited, having all his family here together. But how is it possible that it took place in Mitzrayim and not in Eretz Yisrael? In Eretz Yisrael, this wasn't the place where his culmination happened, everything happened there. It was actually not just because Rebbe Nachman comes and says, the Zohar says that the main life that Yaakov experienced was in Egypt, where he lived with joy and peace. And Rebbe Nachman says that the reason why this was so is not because he was just surrounded by his family finally and everything was reunited. He was a tzaddik, he was a navi, he was a prophet. He knew what they were there for. They had a tradition given from Abraham Avinu and retold to him. And he experienced the prophecy himself, given by Hashem, that they were going to be slaves there. To rest assured that this is not a vacation. Right? Goshen may seem like a great place to be, and you should see, right, the food, and everything here is kosher, and who needs Eretz Yisrael? Shalom. Yaakov Avinu knew for sure that they were going to be suffering there for a long time. He knew that this was the beginning of a phase of darkness, which started with their descent there, right? So, what's he all excited about? What's he excited about? It's that he knew that this was actually the beginning, not just of the exile, but the beginning of redemption, right? That before redemption could come, there had to be an exile. And this teaches us a lot about how we can have an outlook on our own life, how we can have an outlook on the things that are going on with us. A lot of times with us, we see in our life situations that maybe we causing us to feel pain, suffer. As I mentioned before, right, pain. Rav Shalom says that pain is inevitable, but we can definitely avoid suffering. How do we do that? By the way that we have an outlook on our life. If we see that the things that are happening in our life are actually good, are for the good, gamzu l'tovah, and that this too shall pass, then we have a fighting chance of getting through the whole thing, not just unscathed, trauma-free, but actually going through with a certain level of excitement and happiness. And each case is different, obviously. Some are easier than others. Someone can say, Maynard, what are you talking about? You're crazy. Like, the things I'm going through. You know, when we look back in our life and we look at all the challenges we faced, and we look at how later on, how we came out better of it, we don't even remember those challenges sometimes. We have to think and go back and think, and we forget about how many times we were praying on them and how many times we won them in the past, and then once they're gone, it's a new thing that we're complaining about. It's a new thing. It's always focusing on what's going on here in front of me that's bothering me. And a lot less of, wow, thank you, Hashem Barak, for all the challenges. Remember that thing that I was going through a few years ago that now I can't even remember? I can't even remember that was even so bad. And at the time, that was the worst experience I was going through in that time. Now, what I'm going through now, though, this is the worst thing of all time. Right, and we have that kind of ability to just focus on the negative here and to see what's going on. But there's another thing here as well that kind of lends the same feeling, example, lesson in today's aliyah. And that is when Yaakov Avinu summoned Menashe and Ephraim. That Yosef saw that Yaakov Avinu was ill, and so he brought Menashe and Ephraim. And tomorrow we'll talk about the actual blessing that goes on. But for today, when he shows up, Yaakov Avinu says something very interesting. He says, "Mi'ele, Mi'ele. What do you mean, Mi'ele? They've been together for 17 years now here in Eretz Mitzrayim, right? In the land of Egypt. How are you talking about Mi'ele? Who are these people? You don't recognize them?" As with Shalom. Right, Rashi says that he foresaw that there are going to be wicked people that would descend from them, so that they were unworthy of a blessing. Why? Because there are going to be certain people that would come. And so the main thing that then a spirit rested upon Yaakov, and he saw the tzaddikim, that they too would descend from Ephraim and Menashe and Ephraim. So he blessed them. It's the Rashi. So what's the thing over here? Yosef is telling him, no, what do you mean? These are my sons. What's he saying? These are my sons. And he's saying, who are these people? It's that the disagreement, Rebbe Nachman says, stemmed from the fact that Yaakov was focusing on the negative. He was focusing on the negative that was going to come. And so he was weakened to the point where he couldn't find any more good in them, and he refused to bless them. But Yosef at Tzaddik, on the other hand, he was finding the merit in them. He was saying, what do you mean? These two are good. And even that wickedness that's there, that's the place where you got to find the good in it. Just like we were saying earlier about the descent into Egypt wasn't just about the redemption that was going to come, knowing that, okay, cool, we're going to go through this, and the redemption. This too is good. We got to find good points here too. And the same thing, that in wicked people, you got to find good points. And in our own life, when things aren't going so well, maybe we're not even acting so well, we got to find good points in ourselves. As Zamra, Rebbe Nachman says, Torah 282, famous Torah Likutim Aran, about finding the good points. That the way that we view things, as we said in Vayechi, that the way that dreams are interpreted, so too comes out the outcome. The same thing happens to us in our own life. It's not just about the dreams, it's about how we view them when we're awake as well. And it can be a lot harder to find the good in stuff when we are here and conscious and alive and well. It's a lot easier after the fact to say, well, I don't know about dreams, and I can see why it would turn out good. When we're actually experiencing it, it's a lot easier for us to say, no, this is, what do you mean good? This is horrible. Or in ourselves, me, okay, great, this and this and this is good, but this part, not good. Right? And also, not only that, but other people especially. Right? The way we're reviewing other people and seeing them. So too, it's we're going to be judged on that same way, as we've been saying. Right? So, how important it is to see the good in ourselves, to see the good in each other, to see the good in every situation that we're in. Because it's not just, as I said, about someday we're going to be redeemed. It's about that without this process, we're not going to be worthy of being redeemed. Meaning, a person who's losing weight, if a person just hates going to the gym so much, they're feeling the pain all the time, oh, I'm sore, forget about it. They may push themselves for a little bit, but after a certain while, they're going to grow tired of it, and they're just going to throw it all off, forget about it, not worth it. The process in of itself is what brings the redemption, meaning that the process of going to the gym, the process of eating healthy, the process of looking at what we're eating and being vigilant, counting your numbers, whatever it may be, this is actually what brings about the weight loss. It doesn't happen on its own. You can't just be like, okay, I'm overweight right now, but this too shall pass, and just keep going about your business. Right? We have to see the good in things. We have to see the good in the process. To see and do the actions that are going to bring it about. And this way we'll continue to see goodness and kindness come and rest upon us, even in the difficult times. So know that the difficult times, that this too is for the good. And every single person will be able to draw upon this energy that we all bring into the world. And this way, we'll be able to finish this process that we're so close to the end to bring about Moshiach Tzidkenu, the third base I'm meant to spill in our time right now. Thank you so much, L'chaim.